Scott Jensen. Behind the plate catching for Charles Henderson High, number 9, Jason Barron. At third base, number 2, David Taylor. In right field, number 6, Clint Hugh. At shortstop, number 10, Kevin Stevens. Playing center field, number 18, Roderick Burton. At first base, number 7, Pete Van Horn. And on the mound, pitching for Charles Henderson High, number 11, Justin Sims. Leading off for the Eagles of Carroll High of Ozark, the left fielder, number 4, Hayes Wright. Well, hello everybody. It's baseball time at Frazier Field on the campus of Charles Henderson High as the big area matchup between the Eagles of Carroll High and our Charles Henderson High Trojans just getting underway. First pitch by Justin Sims to the left fielder for Ozark is a ball. 1-0 the count. Here's a chopper down to the third baseman. David Taylor up with it. The long throw in time for one quick out. So Wright goes down. 5-3 will score that put out. And it brings up the center fielder, Pentecost. Now batting for the Eagles, the center fielder, number 11, Dylan Pentecost. One down. And the first pitch to the center fielder misses just outside for a ball. And we've got some media up here with us. Ziad is fine former messenger, staff writer, and sports reporter John McDonald now down for the Dothan Eagle, doing a good job. Good to have you up covering the Trojans, John.
Glad to be back, Rick.
And what was that, a ball? I missed that. I think there's 2-0 now the count. Baseball gets good coverage down on the wire grass thanks to the Eagle staff. There's a pitch that's in there for a called strike. 2 balls and 1 strike now the count. A lot riding on this game, and we'll tell you a little bit about the significance of it as we go through it. Of course, anytime you say area game, there's a fly ball going out to right, shielding off the sun as the right fielder makes the catch. That's Clint Pugh out there doing a good job fighting this setting sun. And that's a second out of the inning. Put a big 2 up there on the scoreboard. And now it brings up the pitcher. Now batting the pitcher, Daniel Hart. Outlaw is not facing Charles Henderson High today. That's their star left-hander, who has been signed, by the way, by Troy State University. But he's had tough luck against Charles Henderson High. The Trojans have beaten him earlier this year. There's 2 balls. The fans not too happy with that call. And you know it's Charles Henderson High baseball when you can hear Jennifer Sykes keeping the umpires on their toes. That's a little bit low for ball 3. But if you hear the Trojans doing something good and you hear a shrill whistle, more than likely that's Jennifer cheering on the Charles Henderson High Trojans. What a great fan she has been. And a tough spring it's been too. That misses upstairs for ball 4. There's the first base runner. So with 2 down, Hart draws a base on balls. Now batting for Carroll High, the right fielder, number 6, Daniel Outlaw. Well, here's Mr. Outlaw that John McDonald mentioned earlier. Usually he gets a starting assignment on the mound, but they're going to throw Mr. Hart at the Trojans today, and I hope the Trojans are just as successful against him as they've been against Daniel Outlaw. Justin Sims holding the runner in check at first base. Ball game just underway. 2 down, and the Eagles of Carroll High with 1 runner down at first base. Fastball in there for a call strike. Well, the field looks absolutely beautiful.
So the wind's blowing in?
And the wind is blowing in, and if you're watching this on television at home in the comfort of your den or living room, you won't feel this chill that's in the air. Ground ball up to Will Jones, over to first for the 4-3 put out. So, in the inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, 1 runner left on base, and we have Eagles nothing, Trojans coming to bat. In the inning for Carroll High, no runs, no hits, no errors, 1 runner left on base at the 1/2 inning after the Trojans of Charles Henderson High School, the second baseman, number 4, Will Jones. Okay, here we go. Ziad, thank you for helping out. Keep the scoreboard straight. And first pitch to Will Jones in there for a call strike. And between innings, John McDonald was kind of filling us in on this pitcher for Carroll High, who apparently is a good one. That pitch misses. 1-1 now the count. In fact, this entire Carroll High baseball team is doing well this year, something like 15-3, you think, John? One of those losses being to Charles Henderson High. There's a fly ball going out to the center fielder, reaches up and pulls it in for the first out of the inning. So this will bring up the left fielder, Scott Stetson. Now batting for the Trojans, the left fielder, number 19, Scott Stetson. First pitch to Scott, in there for a call strike.
Really deceptive weather. You look at it, it looks so beautiful.
It looks like an ideal game, but this wind is kicking in here fairly brisk. A temperature about 60 degrees, but expected to drop way down tonight. That misses for a ball. 1-1 now the count. But at least it's not doing what it's been doing up in Chicago, John. Snow in Wrigley Field. They had to cancel the game yesterday. They were supposed to play a doubleheader. Game today also canceled. That's called a strike. And you can hear Jennifer down there not at all pleased with that call. 1 down, no score in the ball game. Little chopper down first baseline, foul. Count remains 1-2. John, you say one of the losses, of course, to Charles Henderson High, but you think that G.W. Long and Skipperville, Alabama, might have beaten Carroll High.
They split.
They did split, okay. Of course, Long, oh my, call, strike 3 right at the knees. And they rung him up on that one. So, 2 down, and it'll bring up Red Barron. Batting for the Trojans, the catcher, number 9, Jason Barron. Well, let's see if Red can get something going with 2 down here. Outside for a ball.
I would be surprised if we have a pitcher still.
Could be. Justin Sims has done well, just a sophomore, but he's got a good amount of poise for a youngster up on that mound. That's outside for ball 2. The game that Charles Henderson High won down in Ozark earlier this season, outside for ball 3. probably one of the more emotional baseball games that I've ever been associated with. And John, I'm sure you're familiar with the tragic loss that Charles Henderson had. The assistant coach, Terry Sykes, very suddenly, unexpectedly died in the middle of the baseball season, and the first game after that, Charles, there's ball 4. That's the way to work a walk. Red Baron down at first with 2 down. It'll bring up the pitcher, Justin Sims. Now batting for the Trojans, the pitcher, number 11, Justin Sims.
The one they call Icky.
That's indeed his nickname, is Icky, and a courtesy runner now. Courtesy runner at first base for Charles Henderson High. Now running, number 1, Brett Pierce. So with 2 down, Justin Sims looking down to his coach, standing down at third base, Coach Steve Garrett. Coach Craig Vaughn down at first base. From the stretch, here's Hart's delivery, runner going, long foul ball onto the Charles Henderson High football practice field. Well, John, we mentioned GW Long, one of the teams in the Wiregrass, just year after year coming up with powerhouses. I don't know how many state championships they won. Who else down in the Dothan area looking strong this year?
Carroll.
Oh yeah, Carroll High doing very well.
It's kind of down. Wicksburg's pretty good this year. Houston Academy's always good.
Houston Academy. And of course, sometimes Geneva County has had some very fine teams, and this year Charles Henderson High kind of just destroyed them.
Yeah.
Right back to the shortstop, comes up with it over to second for the force out, and that's the end of the first. At the end of 1, no score between Ozark and Charles Henderson High. Leading off the top of the second for Carroll High, the first baseman, number 14, Anthony Joseph. So here's the Carroll High first baseman, and a chopper right back to Will Jones. Up with it, plenty of time over to Pete Van Horn, and that's a quick first out. 4-3 put out. Good job of fielding by second baseman Will Jones. 1 pitch, 1 out. Let's keep that up. Batting for the Eagles, the catcher, number 5, Jason Dunn. This will bring up the Carroll High catcher. Right-handed batter, looks for the first pitch down. Oh, in there for a call strike. Like to see Justin getting ahead of the batters. Couple of left-handers on the squad. Justin Sims is one. Scott Stetson is another left-hander. That one finds strike. Oh, no, just missing for a ball. 1-1 out of count. 1 down. No score. A key area matchup. Charles Henderson High has already defeated both Carroll and Eufaula, and both those wins were on the road, so the Trojans in the driver's seat in area play as we speak, and they'd like to clinch with a win here, so this is a big one. Of course, the area champion will host the first round of the playoffs. That one misses up high.
When does Eufaula?
Eufaula comes here Friday. And let's hope it's a little warmer. It's been a chilly day today. Ball 4. So the catcher, Jason Dunn, draws a base on balls, and down at first he goes. Now batting for the Eagles, the DH, number 23, John Mark Bragwell. Here comes the DH, Bragwell for Carroll High. Little meeting at the mound. Catcher, Red Baron. Second baseman, Will Jones, saying, let's turn 2. Ziad Rollins capturing all of the action on camera today. As always, a good job trying to stay warm up here in the press box. Borrowed a coat, zipped it up. Z will have to get some hot chocolate a little bit later on in the ball game. Sims over to first with a throw. Runner back safely. They're trying to run a track meet over in the stadium this afternoon. That's right. Dothan, very fine team. The other day at the Trojan Invitational, Dothan was first. Charles Henderson and I boys were third in that meet, and the girls were fourth out of about 9 teams. There's a strike. Dale County came up for that track meet today, along with Sampson, Goshen. Here's the throw down to second. Not in time. We have a stolen base. So, Carroll with the first runner in scoring position of the ball game. And that was a 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, 1 ball and 1 strike, I believe, is the count. Let's see if Justin can bear down. Erases the double play opportunity, but strikeout would be nice. Did he go? Yes, he did go. Fans cheering on. Good job of blocking up by catcher Jason Red Barron. See Mr. Hank Jones, superintendent of Troy City Schools, making it over to the ballpark today. He is a big baseball fan. Wheel, they had the pickoff on. Throw just a little bit wide. Made it close, though. So, John, we're not going to complain about the weather too much because it could be worse. We could have snow. But I think when the wind is starting to die down just a little bit, and now we've got a conference as Kevin Stevens, the Trojan shortstop, comes over to the mound along with catcher Jason Barron. This is the DH up at the plate for Carroll High.
Big game.
A lot riding on this baseball game tonight. Lights are on here at Frazier Field. Oh, misses outside for a ball.
This is what, the 3rd year y'all been with Ozark in the area?
It is, right.
Last year?
And
Year before, did y'all win?
and the year before we were runner-up. We had to travel the year before. Had to go up to Sylacauga for the first round of the playoffs. But it seems like when Carroll High and Charles Henderson High match up, it's always close, always exciting. Last year, it was a bang-bang play at home plate. Swing and a miss, a big strikeout as Justin Sims gets the DH. John Mark Bragwell to go down swinging. And let's put a big 2 up on the scoreboard, and let's see if we can get by one more batter without any damage being done. Now batting for the Eagles, the second baseman, number 1, Spencer Stegall. Spencer Stegall, the Carroll High second baseman, will now bat with 2 down. We're in the top of the 2nd inning with no score in the ball game. A battle for the area championship. Long fly ball going out to center. Here comes Roderick Burden. Here comes Pugh, who makes the catch from his right field spot. Good job of covering in the outfield, fighting off that sun for the 3rd out of the inning. So, in the inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. And we have a 0-0 ball game at the end of 1.5. In the inning, number 2, David Taylor. We go down to the bottom of the 2nd inning, and David Taylor, The Trojan third baseman is the batter. And John McDonald, you've called it right on the money so far. Predicted we might have a pitcher's duel, and that's what it's turned out to be. Swing and a miss for strike.
I like those pitcher's duels. They're easy to write.
1 ball and 1 strike to count on David Taylor. John McDonald, sports writer for the Dothan Eagle, up with us on press row. I saw you covering a lot of basketball over there for Troy State.
Great season.
Had some good games, yes. And they keep you busy in the high school season, too, as well. Foul ball way back out of play, up out of the ballpark. Goes down for strike 2. Well, John, you say some other high schools are playing for area championships today. What are some of those?
Down the road in Ayrton, Long.
Oh, Ayrton and G.W. Long. That's an old rivalry. Yes, the Purple Cats of Ayrton High. And the Rebels. Ooh, called strike. As David Taylor looks at a called third strike. This will bring up the right fielder, Clint Pugh. Batting for the Trojans, the right fielder, number 6, Clint Pugh. Clint Pugh, his first time up. There's a ball. Gets away from the catcher up against the screen.
His brother was a fine player. I can't do this.
Well, speaking of track meet, here's a guy that was over there at the track meet. A signee with the University of Alabama, Big Vaughn Ewing. Vaughn's had a little experience on the camera. He and Z are good friends, and Z taught him how to work the camera. Did you throw today, Vaughn? You did not throw the shot, but I bet you could throw it out of the stadium. There's a ball. Has he got 3 balls? I think he's got 3 balls up. See if I can keep up with the count here. I get busy talking football when Vaughn comes up here. He's excited about the University of Alabama. That's in there for a called strike. 3 balls and 1 strike to the Trojan right fielder, Clint Pugh. Swing and a miss, so the count will be full. Had a good rip at it. Right-handed batter. And Hart from the stretch, even though no runners are on base. Oh, swing and a miss for strike 3. So back-to-back strikeouts for Hart of the Eagles pitching staff. Now batting for the Trojans, the shortstop, number 10, Kevin Stevens. Kevin Stevens up for the Trojans. First pitch a little bit high, ball 1. 2 down, nobody on base. He must feel more comfortable going from the stretch, and some pitchers are like that. They feel their control is a little better. That was high. We wouldn't mind a walk or 2. Let's get some runners on base. We'll take them any way we can get them on base. See if we can't break into the scoring column first. No score in this ball game. We're in the bottom of the second. Ooh, that's way up there.
I think he tried a little bit too much mustard on that one.
He reached back and threw it above the catcher's head. Got a little action in the Charles Henderson High bullpen. Looks like David Taylor taking a few warm-up tosses. You can hear the Trojans making some noise in their bullpen, and that misses for ball 4. So we do have a base runner with 2 down. Kevin Stevens draws a walk, and it will bring up now batting for the Trojans, the DH, number 5, Jarvis Woods. So this is the DH for Charles Henderson High, Jarvis Woods. Jarvis is a very fine catcher when he's playing in the field. Good bat, right-handed batter. And it looks like they're playing him straight away. Kevin Stevens leading off down at first base. Here's the pitch to Jarvis Woods. High fly. Is that going to be out of play? Yes, it'll carry over the first base dugout for strike one. We like to hear that chatter down there. That gets the ball players there trying to get them rattled a little bit. Yep. Trojan players know the significance of this game. There's a chopper. Pitcher comes up with it over to first. It gets away from the first baseman. Jarvis Woods heading to second. Here comes Kevin Stevens around third. We're going to have a run. Kevin Stevens scores the first run of the ball game on a wild throw over to first. And Charles Henderson High leading 1-0. So let's put up home. We'll enter that run up on the board.
E1, would you say?
I would say E5. I would put that on the throw.
Was it the third base?
It was a third baseman who made that. So, Kevin Stevens, that walk very costly as Kevin comes in and scores the first run of the ball game.
I don't know if they'd have got him.
Well, let's take that. Oops. Let's take that run. They're sending him back. We're going to have to take that run off the board. And Pete Van Horn, the batter. Now batting for the Trojans, the first baseman, number 7, Pete Van Horn. So Pete Van Horn, we've got runners at second and third, as Kevin Stevens has to back up and go to third. Let's see if we can't get him in. There's a swing and a miss. Strike one. Pete Van Horn, just a 9th grader, but he has been doing a good job all season long for Charles Henderson High. He can pitch as well, pitch and first base for Van Horn. Fly ball going out to right field. Right fielder has it and makes the third out. So the Trojans do not score any runs in that inning, and they leave 2. In the inning for Charles Henderson High, no runs, no hits, 1 error, 2 runners left on base. At the end of 2, the score, Charles Henderson High nothing, Carroll High nothing. Of Carroll High, the third baseman, number 21, Aaron Houchin. Well, the fans are getting into this one, John McDonald, as we go to the top of the third. Ziad Rollins on camera for TV 52. Swing and a miss. Justin Sims fooling Mr. Houchin with a off-speed pitch. Strike one. Houchin, the Eagles' third baseman, batting for the first time in the ball game. Here's another breaking ball. Swing and a miss. I like that. Justin really keeps the batters off stride.
Try that.
Would you waste one? 0-2 is the count. Let's see what he does right here. From the windup, outside, a good try. That's what you want to do. Make him go fishing. Don't throw him anything good, 0-2. Justin Sims on the mound for Charles Henderson High. There's a chopper right back to Sims. Fields it over to Pete Van Horn for the first out and the top of the third. Jennifer Sykes saying, way to work, Trojans, giving a good whistle blast there. Flag at center field at half staff in memory of her late husband, Coach Terry Sykes, number 30. Outstanding baseball player for Charles Henderson High. Probably one of the best catchers that's ever played for Charles Henderson High. Played junior college ball down at George C. Wallace in Dothan, and they won the state championship when he was there. Misses just missing for a ball one. Batting for the Eagles, the left fielder, number 4, Hayes Wright. So we've gone through the order. Wright was up in the first inning and grounded out to third. Now he's going to ground to the shortstop. Stevens up with it. Throw over to Van Horn for the putout. Good job. We'll score that one 6-3. Batting for Carroll High, the center fielder, number 11, Dylan Pentecost. Let's put a big 2 up there on the scoreboard for 2 outs. Pentecost, his first time up, flied to right fielder Clint Pugh. There's a strike called.
Carroll High quarterback on the football team.
I remember Pentecost, that's right. Played some good football for the Eagles. Now he plays center field on their baseball team. Pitch misses. Charles Henderson High with several former football players. Kevin Stevens being the quarterback on the Trojans team. Now at shortstop, the man behind the plate, Jason Barron. Great job. Played in the line with Ziad Rollins. There's a chopper. Sims over to first with the throw in time. 1, 2, 3. In the inning for the Eagles, no runs, no hits, no errors, no runners left on base. At the end of 2.5 innings of play, the score, Charles Henderson High nothing, Carroll High nothing. Second baseman, number 4, Will Jones. So the Trojans have batted around. Jones up for the second time in the ball game. He flied out to center his first time up back in the first inning. First pitch is in there for a call strike. Well, John and Ziad, I think I'm going to have to do as you have done, and that's put a coat on here. This wind kind of whipping through the window in the press box is getting just a little bit cool as the sun starts to set. That misses for ball one. 1-1 now the count to the Trojan second baseman, Will Jones. One of the 5 seniors on the squad. And these seniors have meant a lot in the leadership they've given. That's out. Bounces in front of the plate. Ball 2. And I see the Charles Henderson High principal, Dr. Linda Felton, is with us at the ball game. That's in there for a call strike. What a great supporter of all Trojan sports she is. Ziad, remember the pep rallies when she'd get out there and get the Trojan students fired up? Set inside, yes, misses inside.
Not many schools I've been to in Wiregrass. Superintendent and principal at high school.
I think that shows a lot of support. John McDonald is saying you don't see too many schools in the Wiregrass where both the principal and the superintendent show up. Of course, they know how important this ball game is, too. They would love nothing more than the Trojans to be able to win and host a first-round playoff game. Wouldn't that be something? Now Hart's going from the wide. Swing and a miss. 1 out. And it'll bring up the left fielder. Batting for the Trojans, the left fielder, number 19, Scott Stetson. Left fielder Scott Stetson is up. A victim of a called third strike, his first time up in the first inning. That pitch misses outside for a ball. Here's Hart with the delivery. That's ball 2. John, do you get to cover any of the softball games in the Wiregrass?
Yeah. Watch the fast pitch. I'm not too big on the slow.
You like the fast pitch better? Well, that's what Charles Henderson High plays under the direction of Coach Steve Howd. Ball down low, ball 3. So 3-0 now the count on Scott Stetson with 1 down. Trojans need some base runners. Let's see if they can get something going right here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Scott shows bunt and takes ball 4. So Stetson down at first. That's got something going here. Let's see if we can capitalize and move him around. Batting for the Trojans, the catcher, number 9, Red Barron. Jason Barron, the batter, with 1 down, and Scott Stetson. Let's see if they keep Scott scoots off of first base, takes a little lead. Got to be quick. Hart's got a good move over there. First pitch misses, ball 1, so that's 5 straight balls that Mr. Hart. Let's hope his control kind of eludes him for a moment or two here. Get some more base runners. Jason Barron with a good eye. He's got a good pop. Back goes Scott diving into first base. He's safe. As you got to be careful out there. Right-handed thrower for the Eagles of Carroll High, Daniel Hart on the mound. And he has done a good job all year long. Again, he holds Scott Stetson diving back into first. Of course, folks up in the Troy area, especially at Troy State, know a lot about their left-handed pitcher, Mr. Daniel Outlaw, who has signed a contract. Well, not a contract. There's the first hit of the ball game. Red Barron into center field. Scott Stetson will take 3rd. Here's the long throw, and he'll go in standing up. A great job of hitting there by Jason Barron, and now we've got a runner in scoring position with just 1 down. Scott Stetson at 3rd, Red Barron at first. The first hit of the ball game comes at a key time.
Good job of running base run that time.
Scott had the...
bobbled that ball. And,
he took advantage. Scott knew there was an opportunity to take an extra base, and he did it. Batting for the Trojans, the pitcher, number 11, Justin Sims. First hit of the ball game. And you like to see Justin Sims come up with a bat in his hand in a situation like this. Now the pitcher, Hart, holding, well, we've got a courtesy runner, and that's Brett Pierce down there at first base. Brett Pierce running at first for Charles Henderson High. Let's see if we can get Brett Pierce down to second. 1 down, runners at the corners. Here's the pitch by Hart inside for a ball. We thought the Trojans had scored a run earlier in the game. We had to take it off the scoreboard because you're only allowed a certain number of bases on a wild throw. I guess that ball must have gone out of play. Okay, there's a swing and a foul back. 1 ball and 1 strike. Number 10 on the mound versus number 11 in the batter's box.
pitcher.
That's right. Pitcher versus pitcher. Here's the throw. That's up there high for ball 2.
Hart's having trouble with his control this evening.
John McDonald, very observant, as a sports writer should be, making the comment. Control of Mr. Hart. Could he lose it just a little bit in this inning? Let's hope so. Little chopper over the pitcher's head. Here's the toss to second for 1 out, and Scott Stetson will come across, and this run will count. This one goes on the board as Justin Sims drives in, gets an RBI. He's on a fielder's choice. And let's put that one on the board right now. So that's going to be home 1, enter, and they have a run for Charles Henderson High. And we'll have to put another out up, 2 down. And we've got a courtesy runner. Let's see if we can pick up that number coming in. Number 25, Fred Bird. Oh, excuse me, Fred Jones is at the courtesy runner for the Trojans. Now running at first, number 25, Fred Jones. And batting for the Trojans, the third baseman, number 2, David Taylor. So Charles Henderson High with a run across, taking a 1-0 lead. We're in the bottom of the third. From the stretch now, long fly ball, center fielder calling for it, and he'll take it. But in the inning, the Trojans come up with 1 run on 1 hit, and no errors, a runner left on base, and we have a 1-0 ball game. In the inning for Charles Henderson High. Go down to the top of the 4th inning, and leading off the inning for the Eagles of Carroll High, the pitcher, number 10, Daniel Hart. We go now to the top of the 4th, and it's time to put something on and see if we can't stay a little warmer up here in the press box. Ziad Rollins, a veteran of these press box. You started way back in February with us, didn't you, Ziad? We had some cold baseball there. That pitch misses for a ball. But I think one thing that has really helped Charles Henderson High, they play a very tough schedule. They are not afraid to schedule 6A schools. Coach Steve Garrett will play schools like Prattville, Jeff Davis Volunteers, or Robert E. Lee Generals, Enterprise Wildcats, several games with Northview. Two-0 count. Justin Sims has started and gone the distance. That pitch in there for a call strike.
I like how Garrett schedules. He does it right. No patsies.
And I think these 6A teams respect Charles Henderson High as well. They know that they're going to have a, sure enough, good ball club when they take on Charles Henderson High. That pitch misses for a ball. And now Jason Barron going out to try to settle down his pitcher just a little bit. A cool night at Frazier Field. The good news is the forecast shows the weather's going to warm up later in the week by Friday when the next area game, in fact, the final area game of the year will be the Eufaula Tigers coming to town on Friday afternoon. There's a high fly going back. Here goes Burden. Way back it goes. It's off the fence. Going to be at least 2. Throw comes in. Good job of fielding it out there by Roderick Burden and holding the batter to a double. Daniel Hart with a long double off the wall, helping his own cause. That's the first hit of the ball game, given up by Justin Sims. And it kind of brings the Carroll High dugout alive. Now batting for the Eagles, the right fielder, number 6, Daniel Outlaw. Well, they've got a couple of Daniels on their squad.
Both good pitchers, good players.
Absolutely. This is a left-handed. He pitches left, throws left, and bats. He shows bunt and fouls it off for strike 1.
Shows you how their coach thinks this game's going to go if he's going to try to manufacture a run with one of their best players playing.
Good point. Every run important when you have a tightly pitched game like we've got here today. And Daniel Outlaw trying to advance the base runner from second over to third. Let's see if he shows bunt again. From the stretch, Justin Sims looks, checks the runner, here fires, fouls it back, out of play for strike 2. They had him swinging, and you doubt very much that he'll show bunt. Well, Kevin, did he take your spot at the Messenger when you left, John? I see
There's been
a couple of sports writers. Kevin's done a good job covering locally for Troy Messenger. Had some good articles outside for ball.
Robbie's still there.
Robbie, what a legend. Everybody knows Robbie. In fact, he's done some TV work.
And the Howard Cosell.
That's right. He tells it like it is. He's done softball and baseball. He loves sports, loves high school football, baseball. From Greenville, Alabama, Here's a fly ball. Good job by the right fielder. The throw in almost had him picked off. Base runner had to dive back, but Clint Pugh, a nice job of catching that line drive. He played it just right and fired a rocket into second base, almost doubling up the runner.
You had him play perfect on that.
Batting for the Eagles, the first baseman, number 14, Anthony Joseph. So now we've got 2 outs, still have a base runner down at second. Good job by the right fielder for Charles Henderson High, Clint Pugh. Strong looking arm out there, John. I was impressed. I hadn't seen him really unleash a throw quite that strong, and he really wanted to double up that base runner. Now, Coach Steve Garrett calls time. And the base runner comes in to talk to the Ozark coaching staff.
Well, you know, the last 2 balls were hard hit.
That's
tired, must have him on a pitch count.
That's a good. We had that double off the wall out there. Just missed being a home run. I thought for a minute it might have cleared the wall, but and a good job by Roderick Burton. He knew how to play it. Those outfielders have to learn how to play that ball off the bounce. Scott Stetson in left has to deal with that blue monster. And that's been a nice addition. Is this the first time you've seen that, John? Yeah.
Beautiful part.
And Ron Pierce deserves a lot of credit. He kind of spearheaded that and got all of the advertising banners. We appreciate those sponsors out there. We've got Bishop Earthwork and Soil Preparation out there, Central Timber. Hendricks Home Center is up there. Hank Jones, our superintendent, put a banner up. Discount Tire. We've got all of the seniors. W.J. Sorrell Lumber, McKee and Associates. That's down low for a... No, it's not either. I said that one too. That's a strike. Nations Rent has helped us out. Whaley Construction. And all across the outfield fence, we've got additional sponsors, and we appreciate that. That sure helps a baseball program when you've got good folks like that. Here's a little looper. Is that going to fall in? Yes. That's going to be a base hit. Here comes Pugh. Slips down. Do they hold it? Yes, they hold the base runner. We've got runners at the corner. So that will be a hit. A bloop hit. So now there are runners at first and third with 1 down. Danger is brewing here. Let's see if Justin Sims can work out of this jam. Red Barron goes out, calls the play to his infielders. They want to know in advance what to do.
Strikeout would be nice. Dunn walked his last time.
Batting for the Carroll High Eagles, the catcher, number 5, Jason Dunn. Charles Henderson High leading 1-0 in the ball game, but the Eagles are threatening. Right-handed batter, first time up, Dunn walked and then stole a base, but he was stranded out at second. From the stretch, left-handed pitcher Justin Sims fires it in there to that one. Yes, strike call. 0-1 the count now on number 5, the batter. The Eagles catcher. Sims shakes off a sign. Long look into his catcher, Red Barron. Now he fires, breaking ball. It's going to be a fly ball to right. Here comes Clint Pugh, makes the catch. Runner tagging. Here's the throw. Oh, it's just too high. And the runner is going to score. We've got a tie ball game. If that had been a little bit lower, might have had a shot at catching the runner trying to tag from third, but it was just high. Jason Barron jumped as high as he possibly could.
Plus, Clint had to make that throw on the run.
He did. He slipped a little out there, and it threw him off balance. So we've got a 1-1 ball game. And we do have 2 outs, though. That's good. Batting for the Eagles, the DH, number 23, John Mark Bragwell. Bragwell struck out his first time up. Runner down at second for the Eagles. In there for a call strike. So in the top of the fourth, the Eagles have answered back, and we have a 1-1 ball game. Down to David Taylor at third. Taylor up with it. Over to first base to Pete Van Horn, and that's the third out of the inning. So the Eagles come up with 1 run on 2 hits, and we have a 1-1 ball game. For Carroll High, leading off the bottom of the fourth for the Trojans, the right fielder, number 6, Clint Pugh. Go down to the bottom of the fourth inning, the Trojans with Clint Pugh swing and miss, strike 1. Well, we've got some heaters turned on as the temperature is starting to really drop as the sun sets. Little chopper, does it get through? Yes, it does. Right through the middle for Clint Pugh, a leadoff single for the Trojan right fielder. Batting for Charles Henderson High, the shortstop, number 10, Kevin Stevens. This will bring up Kevin Stevens. He walked and was stranded at third his first time up.
He scored the phantom run.
Scored the phantom run. Oh, close play as Clint Pugh dives back in. We thought he had scored on the wild throw over to first, but they made him go back to third. Here's Hart's delivery. Misses for ball 1. Runner going. Here's the throw down. Did he beat the throw? Yes, he's in there safe. Stolen base for Clint Pugh.
That was a bang man.
That was extremely close. Good hustle down there. That's the way his brother Dax used to do it. 1 ball and 1 strike.
He must have slid that hand right on it.
That was extremely good throw by the catcher. Looked like it was on target. Just sliding under the throw. Now we'll have a base runner at third. A wild pitch. 2 balls and a strike as Clint Pugh down at third base with nobody out.
Carroll coach will call it. You're telling Hart now.
Big meeting at the mound. So yeah, we'll just take a little break here and come right back. Kevin Stevens swings and fouls one back out of play. Oh, that hot chocolate smells good, doesn't it, John McDonald? We'll have to order down and see if we can get some made up by the cheerleaders. That misses, breaking ball outside for ball 3. Count is full. The go-ahead run down at third in the form of Clint Pugh. Long fly ball will drive them in. Let's see what Kevin Stevens does. There's a fly ball, but it's the wrong direction. Coming back this way.
Almost came in the booth there.
Count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. It looked like Clint Pugh's dad tried to make a grab on that ball. Couldn't quite hold on to it, though. Almost had a souvenir. 3-2 now the count. Ball 4. So, Charles Henderson High with runners at first and third and nobody out. Trojans trying to get something going here. Now batting for the Trojans, the DH, number 5, Jarvis Woods. So Jarvis Woods reached on an error his first time up back in the second inning. Here's the pitch to Jarvis, up high for ball 1. Trojans trying to regain the lead. They led 1-0. Carroll High came back and tied it up in the top of the 4th. We're in the bottom of the 4th, a 1-1 ball game. There's the wheel. Uh-oh. They got him. They got him. A tough pickoff there as Kevin Stevens caught leaning the wrong way.
Hart really had a good pickoff there, too.
Great job of throwing over by the pitcher. We were nervous about that earlier in the ball game, trying to caution our base runners, don't take too big of a lead when you've got an arm like that on the mound. He can zip it over there in a hurry. Got to be very alert. That's outside for a ball.
Still just 1 out, so sack fly.
Sack fly would be big. Jarvis Woods is the man who can do it right here. If he can just give it a little ride, get it into left, center, or right, base hit would be even better. Let's get a rally going. Here's a long fly ball. This is going to drive in a run. This is off the Blue Monster. Jarvis Woods heading into second. He'll have a stand-up double and an RBI. A great job of hitting by Jarvis Woods, the Trojan DH. So Clint Pugh comes in and scores the second run of the game for Charles Henderson High. RBI double for Jarvis Woods. Now batting for the Trojans, the first baseman, number 7, Pete Van Horn. So let's put a big 2 up there for Charles Henderson High on the scoreboard. First pitch, ball 1. Great job of hitting. He did. He just, in the old days before the Blue Monster, I think that would have been out of here, but we'll take a double. We'll take an RBI. 2-1 ball game. Here's a chopper to the third baseman. Holds the base runner. Now he's, has him in a rundown. Jarvis is in a rundown. Let's see if he can get back safely. Go in there. Yes, Jarvis Woods. They botched the rundown. That takes a lot of coordination to execute that. And now we'll give Pete Van Horn reaching on a fielder's choice. It actually goes down as an error for that failed rundown there. So a little mental lapse there by Carroll High. And the Trojans now with runners at first and second. 1 down. Batting for the Trojans, the second baseman, number 4, Will Jones. Will Jones flied out and struck out, so he is 0 for 2. He is due. First pitch gets away from the catcher. The base runners will advance. We've got runners at second and third. The Trojans threatening to add to their 2-1 lead right here. And now we're going to have another conference at the mound. Let's play a little rally music for Charles Henderson High. That's going to be all for Mr. Hart. Well, we've had a change in pitchers, and now on the mound is Daniel Outlaw, the fine left-hander for Carroll High. First pitch missing outside for a ball. Will Jones the batter, and here's the situation. Trojans with runners at second and third and just 1 out. A chance to do some damage right here. Outlaw, senior, has already signed a athletic grant and aid with Troy State University. He'll be pitching for the Trojans just across the street here next year. Coach John Mayotte very high on this young man. Let's see if the Trojans, though, can kind of do something with this Fine left-hander. Here's a foul ball out of play down the first baseline. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes on Will Jones. Scott Stetson on deck for the Trojans. Not a bad job of pitching by Daniel Hart, the starter for Carroll High. Gave up 2 runs on 2 hits. There's a fly ball that's going to drop into left field. This will bring in at least 1, and they'll hold the base runners right there. A nice single there by Will Jones. And he's got an RBI. And another run in for Charles Henderson High, so we've got a 3-1 ball game. And let's see who came in and scored. That was Kevin Stevens coming in, scoring the 2nd run of the inning. Batting for the Trojans, the left fielder, Scott Stetson. Here's Scott Stetson. First pitch low and inside for a ball 1. Lefty versus lefty, that's right. Scott, his first time up, strikeout victim. Then he walked and scored the first run of the ball game back in the 3rd inning. There's a little grounder going down to the second baseman. Second baseman up with it. Did he beat it out? Oh, good job. That's an RBI. Scott Stetson driving in a run. And let's see what we have. That was Jarvis Woods coming in to score. And Scott Stetson is safe down at first with an infield hit. Did you give him a hit, John, or we'll give him a hit on that one? So now, still 1 down, runners at first and second. And the batter is Red Barron. Batting for the Trojans, the catcher, Jason Barron. So we've got a 4-1 ball game. Here's a called strike.
Trojans are doing this against Carroll Base.
This is the ace of the staff for Carroll High, as John McDonald has so aptly pointed out. They haven't hit anything real solid off it. Well, Will Jones was a pretty solid base hit. And here comes Jason Barron. Look at this long, high fly ball going out to left field. And the left fielder takes it for the 2nd out. The runners will hold. No chance to tag on that one. Had a good job. I thought it was going to carry deeper than that at first. And it will bring up Justin Sims. Now batting for Charles Henderson High, the pitcher, number 11, Justin Sims. Well, the Trojans have come up with 3 runs in the inning, and they'd like to add to that total right here if possible. A base hit might do it if Justin can get a hold of one. Here's Outlaw's delivery. Ball. Again, we've got a lefty versus lefty confrontation, John McDonald. And let's see if Sims can get a hold of one right here. Here's out a fastball. He's got some good pop on it, but that one was just a little bit outside for ball 2. Like to have a gun on it and see what kind of speed he's got on that. I'd guess upper 80s. I'm not sure. I don't have a radar eyeball. There's a ball that gets away from the catcher, and the runners do move up. So we've got Will Jones at 3rd and Scott Stetson at 2nd. A wild pitch. And we've got a 3-0 count now. Maybe he'll get something. Left-handed, that's right. Justin Sims doing a good job. He's going to be taking and it's in there for a call strike. 3 balls and a strike. Now we'll see if he gets the swing away sign from Coach Steve Garrett, the head baseball coach at Charles Henderson High. In his 3rd year with the Trojans. In there first. No, he missed. The bases are loaded. And I should put up, we've got 2 outs, correct, John? 2 outs. There should be 2 outs. I need to put that other one up there. And we have up at the bat, David Taylor. Now batting for the Trojans, the third baseman, number 2, David Taylor. And that's Fred Jones going down at first. Courtesy runner for the Trojans at first base, number 25, Fred Jones. Bases are full, no place to put them. David Taylor struck out in the second and flied out to center in the third, so he is due. First pitch in there for a call strike. Trojans sending 9 batters to the plate in the 4th inning. Here's a suicide. He's in there. A suicide squeeze. And the suicide steal, that is. Oh, a nice job. They sent Will Jones. And Will Jones, that's a gutty call. They made it pay off, though. They timed it just right. Jones with good speed for the Trojans. He was an outstanding wide receiver for Charles Henderson High. And that's the 4th run of the inning, the 5th run of the ball game. The Trojans have jumped to a 5-1 lead. Question is, John McDonald, was that a ball or a strike? I'd guess ball if I had to. Will Jones, a head-first slide, beating the throw.
Great call by Garrett.
You saw it coming, and it's just one of those things. The pitcher in the middle of the delivery, he has no place to go but to the home plate, and the pitch did not beat the run. Now Scott Stetson down at third. We've got runners at second and third. That's Fred Jones down at second. And now Scott Stetson looks like he's going to come. The catcher looks him back. Would he dare do 2 in a row?
Having trouble with Outlaw.
2-1 now, the count. Charles Henderson High out in front, 5-1 in a key area matchup. They're battling for the opportunity to nail the area championship and host the first round of the state playoffs. 2 balls. I missed the count. He yelled up. I could not see. Home plate umpires will have to pick it up next time. The batter is David Taylor. Did you get a piece of that? That's fouled it off. So we know it's at least 2-2. Let's see what he holds up. David Taylor. Count is 2-2. David Taylor has done a magnificent job on the mound for Charles Henderson High. He's usually the first man in a ball game, and he has been a big factor in the Trojan success. That misses up for ball 3. The count is full.
Outlaw better get in here.
So first base is open, and will David Taylor go down? Let's see what's happening right here. 5-1 ball game. Scott Stetson with the lead down at third. And he loses David Taylor. David Taylor will go down, and the Trojans now have the bases again are full. Scott Stetson at third, Fred Jones at second, and now David Taylor at first. And the Trojans have batted around. So, no place to put this batter, and his name is Clint Pugh. Now batting for Charles Henderson High, the right fielder, number 6, Clint Pugh. First pitch to Pugh, a little chopper going down to the third base, makes a nice grab over to second in time. But in the inning, the Trojans come up with 4 big runs on 2 hits. 3 runners left on base. And we have a 5-1 ball game. In the inning for Charles Henderson, leading off for the Carroll High Eagles in the top of the 5th, the second baseman, number 1, Spencer Stiegel. Yeah. I think so. First pitch. If they don't want to keep it, I'll keep it up here. Was that ball? Yep. So here's the top of the 5th inning. Trojans with 5 runs. 1 run for the Eagles of Carroll High. There's a little infield chopper to the second baseman, Jones, hurrying. Did he get it? No, not in time. Good job trying to cover that throw. But that'll be an infield hit. Now batting for the Eagles, the third baseman, number 21, Aaron Houchin. First pitch to the third baseman up there high for ball 1. So the Eagles starting off with a base runner, and now Coach Steve Garrett wants to go out and talk to his pitcher, who has done a good job, only allowed 1 run, but he's got a base runner. Wants to settle him down just a little bit. We'll take a break and be right back. We are back after the conference on the mound. Coach Steve Garrett going with his starting pitcher, sophomore Justin Sims. And now the Carroll High dugout trying to get a little enthusiasm and spark a rally here for their team. Trojans had a big rally in the bottom of the 4th, came up with 4 big runs. In there for a called strike. But John, you cannot say they have broken the game wide open, because this is the doors are ajar. There's a crack in the door. This is a very potent Carroll High team. But one thing in the Trojans' favor, they have some very good, oh, what a move. Base runner dives back in there. But the Trojans have been playing good defense all year long, and that's one thing that I think is much to their advantage. They've got a courtesy runner down at, no, they do not. That's still Stiegel at first base. Number 1 is Stiegel. Here's the pitch. Just over the jumping glove of Pete Van Horn into right field for a single. The base runner going to go to third. And now the Eagles have runners at the corners with nobody out. So back-to-back singles for Carroll High. A little something going for the Eagles.
Charles, doesn't have anybody warming up.
Now, if they go to relief pitcher, it will probably be David Taylor, and he's out there in the field right now at third base. But he was warming up earlier in the ball game, so he should be ready. David's used to coming in with very little notice, and he'll take some warm-up throws. Let's see who's up at bat now. This is their leadoff man. Batting for the Eagles, the left fielder, number 4, Hayes Wright. Wright grounded to third his first time up, grounded to short his second time up. So 2 infield putouts for the left fielder. Oh, the old wheel and deal play there. Didn't catch the runners napping, though. Hayes' dad is a Major General in the Alabama Army National Guard. Major General Eddie Wright, school administrator down in Dale County. Hayes fouls that one off into the football practice field area for strike 1. General Wright commands Troop Command up in Montgomery, Alabama. Came up through as an armor officer. And he is in the stands watching his son as we speak. Hayes Wright, number 4 for Carroll High. Justin Sims from the stretch. Full off speed, and Wright fouls that one off for strike 2. Well, John, you picked a good one to come up and watch. A 5-1 game so far. They'll play 7. If the Trojans can hold on to this, they'll assure themselves of a home field advantage when playoff time comes. They've still about 2 more games left in the regular season. We'll tell you about those in just a little bit here. Justin Sims, good move over to first. Base runner respecting the crafty ability of number 11, Justin Sims, on the mound for Charles Henderson High. 0-2 is the count on the Carroll High left fielder. Up high for ball one. Ziad, you were kidding me, weren't you, when you told me that they had sold out of hot chocolate? There's no more hot chocolate left in the concession stand? Ziad, what are we going to do? I was looking forward to that. Of course, the wind is dying down some, and it's not quite as bad as it was earlier. The runner going. Pitch gets away from Jason Barron, and the runners now will be down at second and third. Danger brewing right here. We do not need to let Carroll get back into this ball game. See, I don't know if you can see down in the stands, John, there's a little dog just sitting down there in the lower stands. And it looks like it's just sitting there watching the ball game. It's just, I don't know if he knows what's going on. There's a swing and a miss. I thought he got a piece of it. Yep, it'll be a foul ball. Oh, it's fun to come out to the old ballpark. This is not quite the best weather for baseball, but the fans are bundled up. The heaters are going. We were talking earlier about an explosion we had with one of those heaters earlier in the season, John. Fortunately, nobody hurt. They put out the fire. That just misses for ball three. The count now goes full to number 4, Hayes Wright, the leadoff man for the Carroll High Eagles.
Still a good crowd considering the weather.
Well, the Trojan faithful, we usually have a good crowd when we go on the road, and of course at home we've got a lot of parents and supporters. There's a chopper going to the pitcher. He holds the runner at third over to first. Good job of fielding and holding the base runner at third by Mr. Justin Sims. So it'll be a 1-3 put out, and that's the first out in the inning for Charles Henderson High. Now batting for the Eagles, the center fielder, number 11, Dylan Pentecost. Pentecost flied out to right his first time up, and then he grounded back to the pitcher in the third inning. So he's 0 for 2. 5-1 is your score. Carroll High threatening to get back into it as Pentecost steps out of the batter's box. Looks down, gets a new set of signs from his third base coach. Now he steps back in and he is ready. Well, John, Charles Henderson High made it to the playoffs last year in baseball, and did you come up to the game when they played Jackson? It was just a heartbreaker. The Trojans had something like a 7-3 lead in that ball game late, and then Jackson came back, and we just couldn't find it out there. There's a strike call. And
both of these teams are going to do well in the playoffs.
I think Carroll High has got some talent. Of course, I think Charles Henderson High, I'm a little bit biased here because I've seen this team play all year long, but they've been playing some good baseball. Pitch missing. The big question mark was how would these ball players react to the death of one of their coaches, a guy that was just loved by ball players and parents. You miss him every time you come to the ballpark. You think about Coach Terry Sykes because he was the first base coach. And I would think about him taking that long stroll between innings from the Trojans dugout over to first base. He'd stop and visit with the fans when we were at away games. That's up there high for a ball. And great picture I've got of Terry when one of our base runners was down at first. And he had a smile on his face, and you could see Terry in the photo just kind of speaking out of the corner of his mouth, knowing that he was saying something to keep the base runner loose. He'd be congratulating our runners down there and keeping them on their toes. There's a swing. He went around on that one. Strike 2. 2-2 now the count. One of the saddest things for me to even think. I hate to even try to talk about this, and I'll probably get emotional, but Terry Sykes was the proudest person in the world. The fact that he had a son on the way. He knew it was going to be a son. They had the name picked out. Look at there, strike 3 as the batter goes down. Pentecost goes down swinging for the second out. That's a big K for Justin Sims. So 2 down, and it'll bring up the batter, Daniel Hart, who started out pitching. Now batting for the Eagles, number 10, Daniel Hart. So 2 down, runners still at second and third. So Terry will never get a chance to see his son, but we will not let that young man, as he grows up, forget about what a great dad Terry Sykes was. The crowd wanted that one for a strike, a little bit low, ball 1. And of course, his wife Jennifer, she has not missed a ball game, and she's the players think the world of her. She is somebody they really want to win a ball game for. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball, misses. Ew, it caught. You know, I've got to wait a little bit longer before he's a little bit slow sometime to bring up that strike, and I get calling it before I should. That was a strike. 1-1 now the count. Sims trying to work out of a little jam here in the top of the 5th inning. I'll wait on that one. That's a ball. Sometimes what I think it should be and what the umpire says it is are two different things, so I better let the umpire call. It doesn't matter what I say up here. It matters what that man in blue, and he's done a good job. It's just sometimes, you know, I think I have a little better vantage point than he does. Way removed from the home plate area, I can see better. I like that one, and he did too. He called that a strike. Now, look at here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. We're in the top of the 5th. We also have 2 runners on base. Couple of big pitches coming up for Justin Sims, trying to battle out of this one. Here's the wind. Just missing. The count is full.
Runner will be going on this one.
I'm looking for Bill Rice Jr. to come over. I saw Bill earlier today. He said he was going to try to come by the ballpark. Just misses, and now we've got the bases full. Bill did a nice job. Have you seen the latest edition of his paper out? John, he's got a nice article by Hank Williams Jr. recording an album way out here in the far outer reaches of Pike County. In fact, I think it might even be up there in Bullock County, where his dad had played a long time ago, and Hank Jr. brought a band down from Nashville and recording. We've got a little conference at the Mount. We'll take a break. The score, Charles Henderson High 5, and we're going to have a pitching change. Eagles 1, back in just a minute. We are back, and a new pitcher on the mound for Charles Henderson High, number 2, David Taylor. And you can see head coach Steve Garrett out there giving him some words of encouragement. David has been the number 1 man out of the bullpen for the Trojans all year long and has done a very fine job, not only with the pitching arm, but at third base and with his bat. He's got a couple of home runs to his credit this year. Now batting for Carroll High, number 6, Daniel Outlaw. So the bases are loaded. And what was that first pitch? Was that a strike? I missed that one. Okay. 0-1 now the count. The bases are full of Eagles. 2 down is the good news. The bad news is they can do some real damage and come back into this ball game with a base hit. Let's see if David Taylor can work out of a jam. Fastball. Misses for ball 1. 1-1 now the count. Over in Eufaula, David Taylor came in a difficult situation and worked his way out of a jam and helped preserve the win for Charles Henderson High against the Tigers. Swing and a miss for strike 2. All right, Trojan fans, That was the Blue Bayou pitch. Some heat that Mr. Outlaw couldn't handle. Yeah, there's Coach Black down here watching the ball game. He was over at the track meet today, along with Coach Hugh Fountain, the head football coach, coming over to cheer on the Trojans. Coach Goolsby down there. Pitch misses up high and outside for ball 2. Again, we've got a lot of 2s on the board. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. And let's see if David can catch Mr. Outlaw napping. Outlaw, left-handed batter, grounded out to second his first time up and flying to right back in the 4th inning. Swing and a miss. David Taylor with one of the biggest Ks of the season for the senior right-handed hurler, David Taylor, coming in. No, his dad, Peggy, dad and mom, Dale and Peggy Taylor, are here cheering him on and cheering the Trojans on. What a great job of coming in and working out of a jam. Bases loaded, and the Eagles come up with no runs on 2 hits, no errors, and 3 runners left on base. We've got a 5-1 ball game. Off for the Charles Henderson High Trojans, the shortstop, number 10, Kevin Stevens. We go down to the bottom of the 5th inning, and Kevin Stevens takes a strike call. 0-1 the count. Leading off the bottom as the Trojans enjoy a 5-1 lead. See if they can't add to their total. Left-handed hurler on the mound is Daniel Outlaw. Misses with that pitch. In the ball game, Kevin walked in the 2nd inning, and then he walked again and scored in the 4th inning. Outside and low for ball 2. And the chatter coming from the Charles Henderson High dugouts. Trojans trying to let Mr. Outlaw know that they're watching him on the mound. Swing and a miss. Count evens up at 2-2. Eufaula coming to town Friday afternoon. Ooh, that's a wild one, bouncing in front of the plate. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Let's see if we can pick up a time on that game Friday. It's a 5 o'clock game. And the forecast is for some warmer temperatures than what we have right here tonight.
Wow, I gotta go to Talladega.
Talladega. Covering a race up there. Kevin Stevens strokes a single. Center fielder up with it. And so a leadoff single by the shortstop. Kevin Stevens gets things going in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Hard hit.
Nicely hit ball. Hard hit right out into center field by Kevin Stevens. Now batting for Charles Henderson High, the DH, number 5, Jarvis Woods. Well, here comes Jarvis Woods. Throw over to first. Kevin Stevens back. Remember what happened earlier in the ball game, so Kevin going to be very careful. Of course, that was against the starting pitcher, but this is a dangerous left-hander, so you have to watch out. They have an ability to fire it over there in a hurry. Watching all the way, Stevens going. He's in a rundown. He dives in there, stolen base. Good job, stolen base by Kevin Stevens. Timed that one beautifully. Had a good lead. And you have to fault Mr. Outlaw for not holding the base runner any better than that. Jarvis reached on an error in the 2nd and scored a run this last time up. That's a ball. So now Charles Henderson High with a base runner at 2nd and nobody out. They've got a 4-run lead. Like to add to it if possible. Fastball. Misses, though, for ball 2.
Outlaw really hasn't been that impressive since
His control has been a little suspect thus far. has a good fastball. They say he has a good breaking ball, and usually they say his control, he's right around the plate. But tonight, he's had a couple of wild ones. Trojans showing some good patience, and of course, they're not intimidated by Mr. Outlaw. They faced him and beaten him on a regular basis. So they think they have his number. Now Kevin Stevens has to dive back in.
It also goes back to playing that schedule, too, a tough schedule. They're not scared of anything. Carroll doesn't play the type of schedule Charles Henderson does. They play more of those 2A. And
John McDonald talking about the schedule that these two teams face and saying that Carroll faces a lot of 2A, 3A type teams, while Charles Henderson facing the 6A teams. Now we've got ball 3, so good patience at the plate by Jarvis Woods. That was a double that Jarvis wrapped his last time up and scored. Now he's showing bunt. Just challenging the pitcher to throw it in there. A long throw down there. It was ball 4, so Jarvis will be down there. We've got runners at first and second with nobody out. Batting for the Trojans, the first baseman, number 7, Pete Van Horn. Steve Garrett talking to his batter, first baseman Pete Van Horn. Pete flied out to right his first time up in the second inning. And then he reached and got down to second back in the 4th inning. So, with nobody out, Trojans threatening again in the bottom of the 5th with runners at first and second. Van Horn shows bunt in there for a call strike. Well, John, I'll be interested to read your article and see what you have to say about the suicide steal from third base by Will Jones. What a play that was earlier in the ball game. That's in there for strike 2. Jarvis Woods at first. Kevin Stevens standing down at second. Stevens with good speed on the base paths. Coach Steve Garrett going over the signs. Jarvis with a good lead down at first. Here's the pitch. Gets a little grounder down to the second baseman, up with it. And Pete Van Horn advances the base runners over. That's a good job of hitting. And that's one out. And now we've got runners at second and third. That's just what you want to do, is to push them over there, and that's the kind of baseball Steve Garrett likes. He's congratulating number 7, saying, that's what I wanted you to do, Pete Van Horn, and he did it. Now batting for the Trojans, the second baseman, number 4, Will Jones. So this will bring Will Jones, and he is 1 for 3. He singled and scored his last time up, and he gets an intentional walk, so the bases will be loaded for Scott Stetson. Now batting for the Trojans, the left fielder, number 19, Scott Stetson. Well, Scott walked and scored back in the 3rd, and then he singled and got all the way to 3rd back in the 4th inning. So, bases loaded. No place to put Scott. Let's see if they'll be swinging away. He is. He sends a grounder right through the middle. It's a base hit. 1 runner comes in. Here comes Jarvis Wood. Good speed to the home plate. 2 runs. An RBI single by Scott Stetson. Good job of hitting. And I'll have to look and see if I can find his grandmother and grandfather. They have big smiles. They came down from Illinois to watch Scott on that one, and we'll put 2 more runs up on the plate, on the board here. So now we have a 7-1 ball game, as Mr. Outlaw hasn't looked all that sharp. Now batting for the Trojans, the catcher, number 9, Jason Barron. So now runners at first and second, still just 1 out. The Trojans with a 7-1 lead. Very close at first. Scott has to dive in and get that uniform dirtied up a little bit. Be on your toes out there. Base runners, we've had one picked off earlier. We don't need any more.
Never liked that intentional walk. All it does is fire up the guy behind him.
Absolutely. John McDonald talking about how that intentional walk can sometimes backfire. Jason Barrett, a fly ball going out to center, and that's going to be the second out in the inning. Gave it a pretty good ride, but not quite deep enough, so let's see if we can get something going with 2 outs here. 2 runs are in as Jarvis Woods scored along with Kevin Stevens. Now batting for the Trojans, number 11, Justin Sims. So Justin started out as the pitcher, did a good job, only gave up 1 run. From the stretch, Daniel Outlaw fires high and wide, ball 1. Did you get how many hits that Justin had given up? Not too many. Let's see. Hits for Sims. Let's see. Maybe 2. We'll have to count that up. Not many, though.
4.
Swing and a miss. 4 hits. Okay. 1-1 now the count on Justin. Let's see what Mr. Justin Sims has done. He grounded out to third his first time up, reached on a fielder's choice in the third, and then walked back in the 4th inning. So he's due. Whoa, way up there as the runner takes third base, a stolen base, as good job of base running down there. By Will Jones. Scott Stetson at first, Will Jones at third, runners at the corners. And a base hit here would be big. Swing and a miss. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Seven to 1, the Trojans opening up that lead here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Those of you watching at home want you to come on out. There's a swing and a chopper down foul, out of play. Come on out Friday, 5 o'clock game. It's the final area game of the season as the Eufaula Tigers come to town. Joey Brannon, who graduated from Charles Henderson High several years ago, one of the assistant coaches over there for Eufaula. I'm not sure who their head coach is. I should know that. Throw it to first. Scott is back in time. Will Jones down at third. Remember the last time we saw Will Jones at third? John McDonald? Could we see that again? They'll be paying attention to Mr. Will Jones. Will Jones with good speed. There goes Scott Stetson getting in a deliberate rundown. Here comes Will Jones, the throw to home. And they get him. Good try, though. Little trickery there as Scott Stetson tried to get in a rundown, but they threw to home and got Will Jones. But the Trojans do come up with 2 big runs on 2 hits. 1 runner left on base. For the Trojans in the bottom of the 5th, 2 runs on 2 hits, no errors, 1 runner left on base at the end of 5. The score, Charles Henderson of the 6th inning, leading off for the Eagles of Carroll High. Number 14, the first baseman, Anthony Joseph. Anthony Joseph leading off the top of the 6th. He grounded out to the second baseman, Will Jones, back in the 2nd inning. He singled in the 4th. So he's 1 for 2. David Taylor on the mound now for Charles Henderson High. Swing and a miss at a fastball. David has really come on as a pitcher for Charles Henderson High. Threw some last year, but it seemed like over the summer and over the fall, his fastball has picked up velocity. There's a ball down low.
Other time I saw him this year, he hit a home run against us.
He did hit a homer. He's got surprising pop in his bat. David Taylor looking in for the sign from catcher Red Barron. Here's the delivery. Swing and a miss. He kind of waved at that one. Ziad, you put another layer of clothing on here tonight, another coat on. Ziad, staying warm up here in the press box. It's a lot easier to kind of stay warm when you're leading in the ball game, too. Here's the 1-2 swing and a miss. David Taylor with another strikeout as Joseph goes down swinging. Now batting for Carroll High, the catcher, number 5, Jason Dunn. So we'll put up an out. One down. And here's the right-handed catcher. Pitch. Good looking pitch in there for a call strike. You heard the Trojan fans, they like that pitch. Taylor's pitch, a little bit inside for a ball. Ball game moving right along. We're in the top of the 6th inning. If the Trojans can hold a lead here, we will stop at 7. Swing and a miss. Their catcher walked back in the 2nd inning and flied out to right field in the 4th inning. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts for David Taylor. Coming in relief of Justin Sims, and thus far mowing them down. Let's see if he can keep it up against their DH. Now batting for the Eagles, the DH, number 23, John Mark Bragwell. Bragwell struck out his first time up and grounded out to 3rd back in the 4th inning. First pitch in there for a call strike. And you like to see David Taylor or any pitcher coming in and immediately getting ahead of the batter. You want to stay in control. Here's pitchers. He's a good job pitching. That one missing a little bit down low and outside. 1-1 now the count. Well, the Carroll High dugout has gotten quiet here the last couple of innings. They were making some noise earlier in the ball game. There's a chopper down to the 3rd baseman, but it's going to be foul territory. Now what they did, and let's mention that they have moved Clint Pugh to 3rd base for Charles Henderson High. That's where David Taylor started the game. So that goes down as a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes now the count. Kevin Stevens still at shortstop. Will Jones at 2nd. Pete Van Horn at 1st. That's your infield. There's a chopper back up off at the screen. Count remains 1-2. Scott Stetson in left. Roderick Burden in center. And let's see who we've got out there in right field. Pugh started out there. Jason Barron, the catcher. Swing, and he hangs in there, fouls it back off against the screen. Count remains 1-2. John, did you get up for the 8A game in Tuscaloosa, or did you cover any?
I missed that. They put me on Troy State.
You've got the TSU beat. Well, that's good. Going to get out to Lincoln, Nebraska. That is going to be something. I met the new offensive coordinator the other day, Coach Shannon. Very nice gentleman. Here's the 1-2 delivery by David Taylor. Did he go? He went after it. Did he go far enough? Yes! David Taylor strikes out the side. 3 up, 3 down. In the inning for Carroll High, no runs, no hit. Leading off the bottom of the 6th inning for Charles Henderson High, number 11, Justin Sims. Now, I imagine they moved Justin out to right field. I never did pick up that number, but that's probably what happened. Justin started the game as a pitcher and gave up 1 run on 4 hits. First pitch up there high for a ball. This is a new pitcher for Carroll High, Mr. Anthony Joseph on the mound. Justin was up at the plate when we tried that delayed steal, swing and a miss, so he gets a brand new count. There's 1 strike on him. As we tried to get into a rundown and see if we couldn't get the runner from third, Coach Steve Garrett reaching deep into the bag of tricks here. One of them sure paid off when they had that suicide steal from third base. That one was to perfection as Will Jones barreled down the line. There's a swing and a miss. Strike 2. Right. Well, the wind has really settled down, and that's been good, but you can see the orange glow of those heaters because the temperature, I imagine we're down, into the... There's a swing and a miss as Justin goes down swinging for the first out of the inning. Now batting for the Trojans, the pitcher, number 2, David Taylor. Well, let's see what David has done thus far in the ball game. A strikeout victim back in the 2nd, flied out to center in the 3rd inning, and then he reached back in the 4th inning. So we are ready for Mr. David Taylor to demonstrate what he can do with that bat. He's already demonstrated what he could do with the pitching mound, and when he gets that ball in his hand, he is all business, striking out the side in the top of the 6th. That pitch in there for a called strike. Coach Steve Garrett shouting down encouragement from the third base coaching box. Here's the delivery. A little bit low for a ball. Mr. Joseph has a pretty good looking fastball. Tall, lanky right-hander. Winds and fires. Is that 3 balls? Let's see. Three balls and 1 strike. That's the count. Sometimes I get behind a little bit, and they will remind me from down below. There's David Taylor on base with a base on balls. Good job at the plate by David Taylor. Now batting for the Trojans, the third baseman, number 6, Clint Pugh. Clint Pugh scored a run his last time up. Also had a stolen base. Let's put a new count up here. 1 down, runner at first base. Here's the pitch. In there for a strike. Joseph really reaches back when he delivers the ball. Notice that, John? He kind of arches his back and throw over to first. David Taylor back in plenty of time. Charles Henderson High cheerleaders doing a good job manning the concession stand, except for the fact that they ran out of hot chocolate. I guess the demand was so great on a night like tonight. But we won't mind if we can come out of here with a victory. Now, looking ahead in the schedule, Friday, Eufaula Tigers, that also is an area game, 5 o'clock right here at Frazier Field. And then the following Monday, the final regular season game will be Northview coming to town. That's outside, ball 1. Third baseman, Clint Pugh. Started in the right field and made a very fine throw from right field to almost double up the base run. Here's a good throw down to first by their catcher, but good job of diving in by David Taylor. Man on first, Trojans with a 6-run lead. Here goes the base runner down there. David Taylor in with a stolen base. Good hustle there and a good slide.
Worried about him so much, and then he stole it off.
So now the Trojans with a runner in scoring position. Breaking ball in there for a call strike. Count is full now on Clint Pugh. Kevin Stevens on deck for Charles Henderson High. Ball 4. Trojans with runners at first and second. Now batting for the Trojans, the shortstop, Kevin Stevens. Kevin Stevens, first pitch brushing him back just a wee bit for a ball 1. Trojans trying to add to their lead here, John McDonald. They lead 7-1. And now they have runners at first and second, just 1 out. Big breaking ball in there for a call strike. Kevin looking down to his coach for the sign. From the stretch, Joseph. Ball just missing. 2-1 now the count. Let's see what Kevin Stevens can do. He might get something he can put the bat on right here, John. Wearing number 10, another one of the fine seniors for Charles Henderson High. That's inside for ball 3. Trojan dugout starts to make some noise. They'd like to send some base runners around the corners here. David Taylor down at second. Clint Pugh at first. Fouls it back, had a good cut. Count goes full. Jennifer Sykes calling down encouragement to Kevin Stevens. Joseph, third pitcher used by Carroll High. Long fly ball going deep, deep. Center fielder almost against the wall, makes the catch. Long throw, here's the tag. David Taylor hustling into third base. Good long one. Wind blowing out, that would have been over the wall, but that goes down as a long second out of the inning. Wind was blowing in at the start of the ball game, but now it's pretty much settled down, and let's see if we can get something going with 2 outs. Here's the DH. Batting for the Trojans, the DH, number 5, Jarvis Woods. Now Jarvis has scored 2 of the 7 runs for Charles Henderson High. So he's been on base a couple of times. There's a little infield fly that the pitcher comes, oh, he drops it! He drops it! Unbelievable! Just a careless play by Mr. Joseph. He casually stuck that glove out. An error on the pitcher as a run comes across. Well, we'll take it, John McDonald, anyway, but that you don't see that too often. That was just a careless field there. It was a pitcher's ball all the way. That's right. So let's put another run up on the board. Trojans now with 8 runs. Now batting for the Trojans, the first baseman, number 7, Pete Van Horn. So that's a run scored on an error. Now the runner to second, they try to delay steal, and they get him down there. So that'll be the 3rd out of the... So the Trojans do come up with 1 run on an error. for Charles Henderson High. 1 run, no hits, 1 error, runner left on base. At the end of 6, the score, Charles Henderson High 8, leading off for the Eagles of Carroll High, the second baseman, number 1, Spencer Stiegel. First batter up for the Eagles, Stiegel, and he wraps a single into right field. So he's had a pretty good bat for Carroll High. He singled back in the 5th inning, so he's 2 for 3 for Carroll High. So a base runner at first with nobody out. It'll bring up Aaron Houchin. Now batting for Carroll High, the third baseman, number 21, Aaron Houchin. Houchin grounded to the pitcher back in the 3rd inning, and then he reached but did not score back in the 5th. That's a strike call. Charles Henderson High record. It's something in the area of 17-7. I'm going to, but we need to get that more precise. If this is for the paper, I don't want to be quoted on that. There's a swing and a miss. But for TV work, we can kind of give you a ballpark figure. But for newspaper work, you've got to be exact. 0-2, David Taylor quickly getting out in front of Aaron Houchin. Trojans with an 8-1 lead. And there's a strikeout. So that's the 5th strikeout of the game for David Taylor. Now batting for Carroll High, the left fielder, number 4, Hayes Wright. Hayes Wright, the batter, the left fielder, and he's 0 for 3. He's grounded out to 3 different positions. Good fire over to first by David Taylor, the base runner diving back. Oh, he put something on that one. One down, runner at first base. High fly ball out of play. Goes down as a strike. John McDonald covering the game for the Dothan Eagle. Good to have Wiregrass coverage up here, John. Did you bring a camera with you? No photography tonight.
I'm horrible at that.
We'll look for the write-up. Also have the messenger on hand tonight. Base runner going, throw down by Barron. Did they get him? No, he slides in with a stolen base. So they've got a runner down at second, and he's going to shake it off. Kind of walking off a hard slide into second. I think he'll be okay. Number 1 is Spencer Stiegel. Now let's see if we can pick up the count. John, I missed one. Let's see what he's going to hold up here. He's holding up 2 strikes. 0-2 now the count to Hayes Wright. David Taylor from the stretch looking in. Jason Barron giving him the sign. Here's the delivery. Fastball. It's going to be a chopper to second baseman. Will Jones in, over to first base for the second out of the inning. One more out, and the Trojans can nail down an area championship. 2 down. And the batter is number 11, Dylan Pentecost. Now batting for Carroll High, the center fielder, number 11, Dylan Pentecost. So Hayes Wright, 4-3 with that put out. And David Taylor trying to nail down a save right here. Uh-oh, that's inside. Did it get him? No. He had to do a little dance. Get out of the way of that one. That's ball 1. And the base runner down at third now. But that's a meaningless run. When you lead by 7 runs, that's not going to do too much damage. Here's the pitch. David Taylor winds and fires. Missing inside, ball 2. Here's the seniors' delivery. There's a chopper. Going to be Kevin Stevens' ball. Takes it, fires the first. He's out. That's the ball game. The Charles Henderson High Trojans have nailed down an area championship, and they will be hosting a first-round playoff game. There's still a game to go, though. The Eufaula Tigers come to town on Friday. Final score, Charles Henderson High 8, Carroll High 1.